Elliott and I worked more than the others. Tom and I both started there at the same exact time. He was fresh out of SC, and I was fresh out of Oregon.
That voice, that mustache, that stare. For over 50 years, Sam Elliott has been the face and the sound of American grit. His presence is commanding, timeless, and iconic. From dusty westerns to heart-wrenching dramas, he feels like the last of a dying breed. An actor who puts authenticity above everything else. He's Hollywood's quiet professional, a man who lets his work do the talking. But lately, a different story has started taking shape online. A story of quiet fury, of professional lines being crossed, and of a personal blacklist that has supposedly been growing for decades. It's a story that suggests, for all the respect Sam Elliott has earned, there are some people in Hollywood he can never respect back. So today, we're unpacking that legend, separating the publicly documented facts from the behind-the-scenes speculation. Who are these 6 actors, and what really happened to make Hollywood's most respected cowboy the subject of so much online drama? Ashton Kutcher, the generational divide. First up, we have a classic case of a generational clash. The name on the supposed list is Ashton Kutcher, and the friction reportedly happened on the set of their Netflix sitcom, The Ranch. On the surface, the show was a success, and in interviews, the two were always professional and even warm with each other. Kutcher, who was also a co-producer, was key in getting Elliott cast as his gruff, old-fashioned father, a role Elliott admitted was his first time in front of a live studio audience. But according to the stories that have trickled out from behind the scenes, a quiet tension was always simmering. The narrative claims that to Elliott, Kutcher represented everything about the new generation of Hollywood that he just couldn't stand. Kutcher wasn't just an actor, he was a tech investor, a social media celebrity, and a brand. To a man like Elliott, who built his legacy on quiet integrity, that whole approach just felt hollow. One of the most persistent rumors is an alleged quote, supposedly overheard on set, where Elliott said of Kutcher, "He's a decent guy, but no real actor." While this quote has never been substantiated, it perfectly sums up the rumored conflict. It wasn't about personal dislike, but about a fundamental disagreement on what it means to be an actor. People claiming to be crew members have whispered in online forums about the huge difference in their on-set presence. Elliott was disciplined, quiet, and totally focused on the script's reality. In fact, Kutcher himself admitted that Elliott was constantly pushing for more realism on the show, pointing out details that weren't authentic to ranch life. While Kutcher seemed to respect this, the viral narrative suggests Elliott saw Kutcher's own performances as safe, predictable, and coasting on charisma instead of deep character work. The on-screen father-son dynamic, it's said, mirrored a real-life generational clash, the stoic craftsman versus the charming multi-hyphenate. While public records show nothing but mutual respect, the legend of a quiet, professional rift lives on. Yet if a generational gap can rattle Elliott, imagine what happens when two wildly different acting philosophies collide like dynamite on a movie set. Brace yourself, because the next name on the list is the patron saint of big, explosive choices. Nicolas Cage, a clash of styles. If the issue with Kutcher was about the business of Hollywood, the rumored conflict with Nicolas Cage was about the art of acting itself. The two worked together on the 2007 movie Ghost Rider, and you couldn't find two more different approaches to the craft. Elliott is a master of subtlety, a believer that the most powerful moments are often the quietest ones. Cage, on the other hand, is famous for his fearless, over-the-top, and sometimes chaotic performances, a style he calls nouveau shamanic. The story goes that on the set of Ghost Rider, Elliott watched Cage's method with a kind of tired fascination. While Cage would supposedly pace around in full costume, muttering to himself and gearing up for explosive takes, Elliott would just sit quietly, reading a book or chatting with the crew. They were two artists trying to paint on the same canvas with completely different brushes. Online stories and YouTube videos claim that Elliott found Cage's style to be exhausting anarchy. One widely circulated but unconfirmed quote attributed to Elliott says, "He's more firework than flame. Big bang, no heat." Whether he actually said it or not, the sentiment gets to the heart of their alleged artistic divide. Elliot believes in building a character from the inside out, letting the truth of the role come out naturally. Cage, in this story, is seen as someone who imposes his will on the character from the outside in, demanding attention with grand gestures and wild energy. While Elliot has never publicly slammed Cage, in fact their on-screen work was perfectly professional, these online stories claim he would later criticize actors who hijack the screen with ego. Many believe those pointed remarks were aimed squarely at Cage. For Elliot, acting is a collaboration, a delicate dance between performers. To him, Cage's style wasn't a dance, it was a solo that left little room for anyone else on stage. The sparks with Cage were loud, but sometimes the friction is so fundamental that Elliot won't even set foot on the soundstage. Our next entry never shared a single frame with him, and that absence speaks louder than any on-set shouting match ever could. Jared Leto, a refusal to engage. The third name on this viral blacklist, Jared Leto, represents a conflict so fundamental that it supposedly happened before the cameras even started rolling. Unlike the others, there's no public record of Sam Elliott and Jared Leto ever sharing a screen. And according to the online legend, that's by design. The story goes that Elliot was once attached to a film in its early stages. He reportedly liked the script and respected the director, but when he heard that Jared Leto was being cast in a major role, he walked away. No public announcement, no dramatic exit, just a quiet, firm refusal to be a part of it. The reason, according to this narrative, was Leto's infamous brand of extreme method acting. Leto is known for staying in character for an entire production, a process that has famously included sending disturbing gifts to co-stars and creating a bubble of chaos around him. To a disciplined professional like Sam Elliott, this approach is the exact opposite of good filmmaking. He reportedly sees that kind of behavior as disruptive, self-indulgent, and deeply disrespectful to the entire cast and crew. One unverified report claims Elliot privately said if he needs that much effort to act, maybe he's in the wrong profession. This alleged quote, true or not, cuts right to the core of the issue. For Elliot, great acting doesn't need elaborate, headline-grabbing stunts. It needs quiet dedication, honesty, and above all, a collaborative spirit. The process shouldn't become the story. Leto's method, in Elliott's supposed view, turns filmmaking into a circus, with the method actor as the self-appointed ringmaster. By allegedly refusing to even enter that circus, Elliott made his position crystal clear. Professionalism and respect are non-negotiable. Turning down a project is one thing. Watching a friendship quietly unravel is something else entirely. Because after method, madness comes heartbreak, an unspoken rift between two men who once felt like brothers under the brim. Jeff Bridges, The Lost Friendship. This might be the most personal and sad story on this list, the rumored falling out between Sam Elliott and Jeff Bridges. These two weren't just colleagues, they were friends, collaborators, and kindred spirits who shared the screen memorably in the 1998 cult classic The Big Lebowski. Their on-screen chemistry as the stranger and the dude felt real because it was born from a shared grounded sensibility. They were seen as two of Hollywood's most authentic, no-nonsense guys. But according to the story that's grown over the years, their bond quietly fractured as their careers went in different directions. The rumor is that as Bridges' fame shot into the stratosphere, especially after his Oscar win for Crazy Heart, Elliot felt his old friend started to change. The humble, grounded man he knew was supposedly replaced by someone more polished, more political, and more tangled up in the Hollywood glamour that Elliot himself had always kept at a distance. This wasn't some dramatic betrayal, but a slow, painful drift. The values that had been the foundation of their friendship, simplicity, humility, a shared artistic spirit, seemed to just fade away. A cryptic remark from Elliot in a later interview is often used as proof. When asked about past collaborators, he allegedly replied, "Some folks change, others just show who they always were." Many have interpreted this as a subtle but direct shot at Bridges. Now, it's important to note that both men have always been publicly respectful and were even seen happily reuniting at the 2023 SAG Awards. But the story of a lost friendship persists. It suggests they stopped going to the same events, stopped championing each other's work, and the easy brotherhood they once shared faded into a respectful but distant memory. For Elliot, this rumored estrangement was never about professional jealousy. It was about losing a connection he treasured, a bond built on shared values that he felt was slowly worn away by the very industry he always held at arm's length. Losing a friend stings, but what happens when the very soul of the American West is up for grabs? Elliot's next ideological showdown pits him against a modern-day cowboy whose empire stretches from network TV to every streaming queue in America. Kevin Costner, The Battle for the West. The conflict with Kevin Costner isn't rooted in on-set drama, but in a philosophical war over the soul of the American West. Both men are giants of the Western genre, but they stand on opposite sides of a pretty deep divide. This all came to a head with the massive success of Taylor Sheridan's Yellowstone. While starring in its prequel, 1883, Elliot made his feelings about the main show crystal clear. In a now-famous podcast interview, Elliot stated bluntly, "I'm not a Yellowstone fan. I don't watch Yellowstone." He went on to compare the massively popular drama to a 1980s primetime soap opera like Dallas, a show known for its over-the-top melodrama. While he was careful to praise Costner, calling him a great actor and the cast good people, his critique of the show's style was brutal. For Elliot, authenticity is everything. He reportedly sees Yellowstone as a manufactured West, a slick production full of soapy family drama that lacks the grit and moral clarity of the classic Westerns he loves. The narrative claims he views Costner as a cowboy on paper, an actor playing the part of a Western icon without truly getting the spirit of the land. This isn't just about a TV show, it's about a battle for cultural ownership. Elliot, who also said that working on 1883 was tainted by Yellowstone, feels the modern Western has lost its way, trading depth for spectacle. Costner, with Yellowstone's staggering popularity, represents the new, commercially successful version of the genre. While there is no evidence of a direct personal feud, the viral story frames this as an ideological clash. It's a battle between two giants over what it means to tell a story about the American West, one fighting to preserve a sacred myth, the other redefining it for a new generation. And if those clashes simmered under the radar, the final feud erupted in full public view, complete with an unfiltered podcast rant, an industry backlash, and a rare humbling apology. Get ready! The showdown, with a British leading man, lit up Hollywood like a prairie wildfire. Benedict Cumberbatch, The Line That Was Crossed. Of all the names on this list, Benedict Cumberbatch is the only one connected to a publicly documented, undeniable conflict. This wasn't some quiet rumor. It was a firestorm that Sam Elliott started himself. The source was Jane Campion's Oscar-winning 2021 film, The Power of the Dog. On the WTF with Mark Maron podcast, Elliot unleashed a torrent of criticism that was shocking in its honesty. He called the film a piece of S-key. He mocked its themes and its depiction of cowboys, comparing the actors, including Cumberbatch, to Chippendales dancers who are all running around in chaps and no shirts. He specifically took aim at Cumberbatch, questioning what a British actor and a New Zealand director knew about the American West. Cumberbatch never got out of his f***ing chaps, Elliot complained, adding, "Where's the Western in this Western?" The backlash was immediate and fierce. Elliot was labeled as out of touch, and his comments were widely condemned. Cumberbatch himself responded with polite confusion, calling the reaction very odd. For a moment, it seemed Elliot's legendary reputation had been permanently damaged by his own words. But what happened next revealed the real character of the man. Instead of digging in his heels, Elliot did something incredibly rare in Hollywood. He gave a full public apology. At a promotional event, he expressed his sincere regret. "I said some things that hurt people and I feel terrible about that," he began. He specifically apologized to the cast of the film and, in particular, Benedict Cumberbatch. He admitted he wasn't very articulate and extended a heartfelt apology to the gay community, saying they had been incredible to me my entire career. This incident is really the anchor of the whole Sam Elliott feud narrative. It proved that Elliott is, in fact, willing to voice his harsh opinions publicly, but it also proved he's a man of integrity, willing to own it when he's wrong and take responsibility for his words. It was a rare moment of public vulnerability that, in the end, might have reinforced his legacy more than it ever damaged it. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. We read every single one. And if you enjoy these deep dives into Hollywood's untold stories, make sure to hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell so you never miss an update.